So I've started the recording. So in Zotero in general, the first step is to download the software. And I think this is very easy for everyone to relate to. Just let me go to Google and share the screen so we can type download Zotero. And here we'll download two things, not one. The first thing is the software itself. And the second thing is the connector. So I'll just share the screen. I'm not sure if you already downloaded the software. I think it was written on the email. So did you guys have the time to download it and maybe explore it on your own? If you didn't, don't worry, it's fine. So I'm sharing my Google screen. I'll just type download Zotero, Zotero, that's it. And it should take you to Zotero.org. This is their website. So it's the first option. So once you download it, you will see two options: to download the Zotero software itself and to download the connector. If you are in Google Chrome, it will be the Chrome connector. If you are in Internet Explorer, it will be the Edge or Microsoft Edge connector. So you have to download both and just click install as you usually do in any software, and you would have the software installed at your PC. So let me go to the Zotero screen to speak about it a little bit after we have downloaded. I'm not sure if everyone is following up. Can you guys see the screen, and is my voice clear to everyone?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So Zotero. This is how the Zotero screen should look like after you download it. We'll go through the parts of this screen and how to use it, of course. But if you downloaded the software and you didn't get the screen, then there will be something wrong with your installation. But it should be appearing like this to everyone. So basically, we have on the left here the libraries or the files that we create to put our journals, our books, our references in. And as you can see, you can create several folders if you wish to divide your publications there. So for example, I created a specific folder for this workshop titled workshop, and you can easily create a new collection just by going to this yellow button up top, and you can name the collection whatever you want. So let's say that you are maybe working on a publication one. So you would name it, I'm sorry. So you would name it publication one. And let's say you have another publication that you have different references for and you don't want to mess up everything. So you could just name it publication two. And for each publication, you would have, for example, methods, introduction, and so on. So you can actually make sub collections for the each publication, or let's say your thesis or whatever. So it will be introduction. So this is how you can use this to create folders and subfolders according to your, someone has raised their hand. Yeah, please go ahead, Magri, please go ahead.
Hi, Mr. Abdulrahman. Thank you so much for this session.
Thank you.
Mr. Abdulrahman, I just have a question about journals and publications. We as PhD students are required to have publications. Okay, so once I started communicating with one of the journals, they mentioned that students or the researcher herself or himself is not requested to use any kind of reference management tools. The reason they gave is that it's not like editor friendly. Can you, for example, based on your experience, can you tell us what this means and why they, for example, why this specific journal told us not to use a reference management tool?
Thank you for your note. According to my experience, I thought it's the other way around. It's actually highly recommended to use like automatic citations to make sure that they are cited in the correct way, and no references are missing between the in-text and the bibliography, for example. So I'm not sure if it is a specific case for the journal itself, but I mean, that's quite odd to me. But anyways, if you will not be able to use it like for your specific journal for that publication, it will definitely help you in your dissertation and your other writings. So that's my opinion. Yes, Miss Ruwaida, go ahead.
Assalamu alaikum. Since you opened this screen, if I want to move, for example, a file called workshop and put it as a subsection under publication 1, can I do it here in Zotero? Because I tried to do that on my Haida, I wasn't able to do it. I clicked every button, but I wasn't able to move a section to make it a subsection under another item. Can
Like,
it, is
you
it
want
doable?
to make, do you want to make publication as a subsection, publication 1 as a subsection of publication 2, you mean?
Yes, or take workshop and put it under publication 2.
Workshop under what publication, like 1 or 2, for example?
How are you doing it?
You can just, yeah, by just dragging, but I would recommend, just to not mess it up, is just to, if you want, let's say you want to delete this, and you can just delete it, and you can create another one by making a new sub-collection. That would be easier. But if you want to move it like around, I think you can just drag it. Let me just see if you can move it to a subsection. I haven't tried this before, to be honest. So that would be publication 1 as a, okay. I don't think that's possible here. So I'll just delete them again to library. Okay. I'm sorry, I don't think that that is possible. So we will just name it publication 1. Okay, so back to our Zotero window, you can create collections, sub-collections according to your liking or your preference. Here, this shows you the duplicate items, and we will come back to it at the end. But basically, the idea here is to, if you have duplicate references, it will show you after you create your library. Here, if you don't have any items under any of those collections, then it will come under the unfiled items. And finally, the trash is what you delete. So let's say you deleted something and you want to like recover it. You can just right click on that item and restore to the library, or delete it permanently if you want to clean it up. So we downloaded Zotero, and we have the windows and the subfolders and the folders formed, and now we want to import our references. So we have 3 ways. The first way is actually the manual way. So that's something I don't personally recommend, but it's something there. So you can click on this. Let's say I want to add a publication, like an article here in publication 1 folder. So I'll just go to this plus sign up top here, and I'll click on journal article, and we will start by filling the information. I hope you can see the screen, right? Is it visible to everyone?
Yes.
I think it is. So we will start by writing the title of the journal and the author name, the last name, the abstract, and so on. This is highly not recommended because, again, it will be an extra effort for everyone to make, but it's an option. Another option here is to actually add by the identifier. So I think you have all seen the ISBNs, the DOIs, and other identifiers for journals and books. So let me go to any article and copy the DOI and paste it back here. I'll not keep changing the screen for small things. You all know what a DOI is, but if not, if you want, let me elaborate. So if anyone doesn't know the DOI, can see where can I get it from. So this is the second way of adding articles to the library. Okay, so I think you can see my screen. I chose any random article, and usually the articles will have identifiers in the name of the UI. So we can just copy that and come back and paste it in our identifier tool. Okay. So we'll just click here and paste it. And as you can see, it automatically retracted this paper from the website, and it added the item type, the title, the authors, and all the details. So this is the second way of adding it. Of course, it's obvious to everyone that this is much easier than the first way. Another way, and I'm not sure if I can show two screens together, but if anyone has the file downloaded, you can try it. You can just minimize this window and move it a little bit to the right and open your downloads or your files, because in some cases you have the PDB on your computer, but you want to import it easily to the file. So you can just drag and drop. You will have on the left, for example, your download folders, and you can just drag it on this white screen. I'm sorry, it will be difficult to show it here on two screens, but you can try it. It's very easy to drag any article and just drop. This is easier than importing, because importing, unfortunately, in Zotero, I'm not sure if you can see the second screen. Can you? Okay, I think you can. So importing a file into Zotero using the import option will require you have the file in RDF, Zotero format, or IS or BIBTX. So you would have to change your PDFs, but just dragging and dropping will be much easier. The final way of adding articles to your library so that at the end it can look something like this, for example, is by the Zotero connector. So for that, we would have, if you remember in the first earlier step, we downloaded the Zotero software and the connector. So let me just stop sharing and go back to the Google Chrome. Okay, let's be at the same article. I think you can all see the screen. At the top here, you will see my extensions, and you will see that the Zotero connector is downloaded. For this to work perfectly, you have to have Zotero open on your PC or whatever device you're using, and you click on Zotero connector. You will see that it's saving to your library, and you can change that. Of course, here it failed to retract the whole full text, and I purposefully took this article because it's actually not open access. So this is one of the limitations of the Zotero connector, but I just wanted to show it to you. So just let me go back to the library. So if I go back to the library, you will see that it wasn't fully downloaded because of that article is not really open access. But if I go to another article, let me just go to another article that is open access and try to use the Zotero connector. So it's like a magnet. I'm not sure if you tried it before somewhere, but usually the open access recent articles will work fine. So either by the DOI, this is one way, or by dragging and dropping, this is the second way, or by using the connector, this is the third way. So there are three ways to add your articles in the library. So the first thing we have discussed is downloading Zotero and the connector. And the second thing, we have went quickly through the folders and the subfolders and how you can create new ones. And of course, the other important thing is to add articles in those folders. Does anybody have a question in those until now before we move on? I'm just opening another article until I receive any question of yours.
Yes, I have a question.
Yes, please
hello.
go ahead.
So for example, if I'm using a website like WHO website as a reference, how I can use it?
This is a perfect question. I was coming to this point because the connector actually reads the different websites differently. So I'm going to elaborate on the WHO. I have it actually in my library, so I'll show it to you in a few minutes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for your question. I think this should work. This is a open access paper. So as you can see, it takes some time to take the PDF in. But you can see on the top, once I clicked on the connector, it connects automatically. So okay, so let's just go back to the library. So it takes some time to download the PDFs and sometimes it doesn't. Just let me. Okay, this should work. I just opened the PDF from the site itself. Okay, so as you can see, you can see the Zotero. Let me just go back to the article that I just opened, so you can follow up. Okay, so I have this article and I clicked on the connector again. Here it can read the PDF because it's open. This is where you have to choose your method accordingly. As you saw, some of the articles are not open access, so the Zotero connector will not retract it quickly. But if it is, or you have the PDF open from the site itself, the Zotero connector will be able to retract the PDF directly with all the details. So for example, this paper that I just clicked and downloaded will automatically come to my library. I'm sorry if I keep closing the screens, but it's a multiple screen thing. So once we are back here, you can see that the paper is downloaded and also downloaded with the PDF. So the PDF will be there with the paper, and you can always see some information about the paper in the first tab. Here you can add actually some notes. So let's say that you want to write, I like this paper, or whatever important notes you have on the paper, you can actually type it here if you want. And also you will be able to see, once you write the note here on the left, that you have some arrows to see the notes and see the PDF and so on. Another important thing here is the open PDF. So you can click on the open PDF. I hope it you can see it on the screen, and you can see that the PDF is actually reading on Zotero. So I hope you can see the PDF open here on Zotero. You can use it as a PDF reader, basically. So now we will keep adding our papers until we have what we call a library. Okay, and this is our library that we, let's say, add it one by one as we are doing our literature review or as we find an important paper. But in general, we face we have some students that face an issue of importing a library from another software. So I tried to elaborate today on Mendeley because this is one of the other common softwares that people use. So I'll give you an example. If you are a student that used Mendeley for some time and you really don't like it and you want to change to Zotero, and you have a huge library created like this one that I just created one by one, and you want to import it with one click. So let me go to Mendeley. We will not see how to download it and stuff. I'm assuming that you already used Mendeley and you have your library created. This is how Mendeley looks. It's very similar to Zotero. You can see that the library is actually here. you imported it again one by one and so on. So can you see my library on the screen, the Mendeley library?
Yes.
Okay, so now you will click export all, okay? And once you click on export all, you can choose any format. Zotero likely reads the first one and the third one, so you can click on the third one and you can save it. Let's say you will name it library and save it on your downloads. So again, now we'll go back to Zotero and import the library with one click. So we'll go back to Zotero screen, and this time you will import, okay? And you can write a file, and now you will see that it's reading the RIS format because it's exported from Mendeley. And you can just go to your library. I think I have it downloaded here. Once you click on the library, you will click next, and it will directly import all the 13 citations. So this is the answer to the students who say that I'm using Mendeley or whatever, EndNote or whatever software, and I want to use Zotero. So you don't have to add one by one. You can just import the library directly. So now we added a library to the Zotero directly, and we were able to attract the articles one by one. Just to come back to Mr. Muhammad's question, what do we do if we have different citations? So I'll open the WHO website. I already have it open. Surprisingly, I had the example prepared specifically for his question, so that's interesting. So now I will share the screen on the WHO, and I will go to my connector again, and I will just use the Zotero connector. You will see that it will, of course, not take any PDF or anything because we don't have a PDF here. It's basically the WHO site, and it's actually saving with the time I accessed and everything, and it's naming it as a snapshot, right? So once I go back to Zotero, you will see that the WHO is written. Here, this is where the manual manipulation of this information tab comes into play. So let's say that you have the HO or WHO and you want to add, like make the author also the WHO, for example. So you can actually easily manipulate it with your hand. So for, let's say, automatic e-links, we highly recommend that you can change the author name a little bit, the type, so that it comes into your preferences. And we will see later on when we come to the Microsoft Word that these automatically will come in order and everything will be fine. But this is what the connector or the magnet can retract. We'll just retract the URL, which is our most important thing we need to have in a link, for example, and the access date and the time. These are the two things we look at, and everyone usually looks at when they are looking at e-references. So I hope I answered your question. You can just download it using the connector and then manipulate it a little bit into your favor. If you want to write the whole thing, World Health Organization, for example, here, let's just okay, and let's say you want to have it WHO, and that's it, for example. So the last name will be WHO and the World Health Organization, and it of course shows here as a tab. Here there is no date because it's an automatic reference, but if you want to have a date, you can add a date here so that when you add it in the Word, Microsoft Word, it doesn't show as non-dated. If you don't want to date it, that's okay. Of course, this depends on the citation and so on. So I'll take your questions before we jump into the next section so that I make sure that you are following up. Any question in this part? So we downloaded the software. We were able to import the library from Mendeley or import reference by reference despite the type, either by dragging the PDF or by writing the DOI or by using the connector. And we were able to understand how to make new folders based on our preference, and at the same time manipulate the tab here on the right where we can add information and notes. And since we are here on the tab, let me just also mention the tags. The tags are very important because it can make your life easier later on. If you can see here, I have already some automatically made tabs from the Zotero itself based on the titles and the information in my papers. So if I want to, let's say, have some papers only about the density functional theory, I'll click on that and it will take it to me. Or basically it's a filter. The tag will be a filter for us. If I want to make 2 filters, I'll click on 2 keywords and so on. So if you want to make your own tags, you can just click add and write the tag accordingly. So I'm sorry, in the tags here, you can add an extra tag and just write your tag here and click add and so on. Related is another thing where you want to relate 2 articles together. So you can also go to related and then add and choose another paper that you want to relate to your first paper and just click add. In some cases, of course, you have some 1, 2, 3, 4 papers related together, so you can relate. Another thing here on the window is actually the preference. So when you go to edit and go to preferences, you can change some of the interesting things. For example, the styles that you have. Of course, when we go to the Word, we'll have all these styles installed. But if you want to add an additional style, you can actually click on get additional styles and you will get a new window. I hope you can see the new window. I'm really sorry, but opening many windows at the same time, not sure if the Zoom will catch them together. Let me just try to see if it does. I think it doesn't. So I will open this window. You will see that once I clicked on add style, it got me all those different styles that I can choose from and add it to my my Zotero library and download it. But usually you will not need that because the major styles or the main styles in the Zotero will be there. For example, the most common is the APA style 7th edition. You have the 2 editions, of course, because I updated my Zotero. Make sure that you update it whenever it asks so you can get the most recent style. The IEEE for the engineering students, for the physics, math students. IT, I think, also use IEEE. Depends on your field, basically. We have the Chicago, the American Chemical Society, the Vancouver. These are all the Chicago. So these are all the most well-known style, so you will not really need to download another style, but if you do, you know where to. And also you have here in the sync, I don't want to log out now, but here you have data syncing. So let's say that you have Zotero on your laptop and you go to your office and you want to download Zotero again and you want to have all your libraries directly installed. This is where the sync comes into play. You just go to sync and log in your username and password, which you have probably created before, and then it will automatically sync all your libraries or your folders and everything with just one click. This one is not important. Okay, here in the site with the style managers, you have this word processor. If you go to Word now and you don't find Zotero installed up top in the tabs, you have to just install it again from here, install the Microsoft Word add-on, but I think it automatically installs in all the laptops and the PCs, which we will see in a few minutes. I'm just trying to get into the details of the software and the user interface so you are familiar with it. And then later we will go into the Word and see how to add our references. Can we have questions in this first section? Any question? Please go ahead, Miss Zubaida. You have your hand raised. Please go ahead.
My question is, if I don't want to download Zotero, can I use it online only?
According to my knowledge, your device, but I'm not 100% sure, to be honest. But I would recommend to use it on your PC. I mean, why do you want to use it online? If you want to use it online
downloaded the
for the sake of, let's say, syncing to EndNote.
I already have EndNote, so
okay. So I already mentioned the EndNote or the Mendeley a few, like maybe 10 minutes ago. Let me just go again to confirm on your question to make sure. So I didn't use the EndNote before. I'm familiar more with Zotero and Mendeley, but let's say that this is the EndNote. This is Mendeley, of course, but if you have the EndNote with all your library installed, just look for exporting all the library in any format that the Zotero reads. So when I exported this RIS, or let's say .bib, the Zotero will automatically be able to read the whole library with just one click. So if you use the EndNote, just try to export the library and import it in Zotero friendly to you, or you don't want to use EndNote anymore. But I don't think the online option will work for you. Any other questions? Please feel free to raise your hand, or maybe write on the chat.
Thank you very much for the workshop.
Yes, I will answer this. Yeah.
My question is, after, for example, I export my library from Mendeley to Zotero, is there any way I can automatically update the in-text citation I made with the Mendeley library to recognize the Zotero library?
If you have the Microsoft, we will come into updating the library. We will come into that in the next section. So I hope I'll answer your question in the next section. So I will elaborate on that, on updating in a few minutes, inshallah. Thank you for that.
Okay, one more thing is, right now I'm opening my Mendeley. The import is active, but the export is not active. Maybe I missed few steps of exporting, you sure?
No, can you, I don't know if you can share your screen, but I have all the references here. Do you see the Mendeley screen of mine now?
Yes, yes, I see.
Yeah, you can just have file export. Are you sure that you are in all references? Can you click on all references?
All documents?
Yes, all references, yeah.
All reference, all. Mine is showing all documents.
Okay, maybe you have another version, that's fine.
So if I click on the file, I see add files, add folder, watch folder, add entry manually, import, and export is not active.
Grayed out. So can you please maybe try closing the Mendeley and open it again and make sure that you are in the selecting the whole library at once? Because can you, like, for example, select the whole thing at once?
Select the whole thing at once.
Yeah. Because see, when I selected, you have also the export at the bottom. So you can try to maybe export it as from the bottom here as RIS or Microsoft Word or EndNote even. So this basically means that you can also import your library to EndNote, but we don't want to go out of the scope of the workshop. It's mainly about Zotero, just to import, because we get a lot of questions about how to import the library. So I hope you find the export option. We'll try it. If not, maybe we can troubleshoot it at some other time. That's fine. But as long as you are able to export your reference library from any software to any format that Zotero can read, should be fine importing the library with one click. So I'll just
okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I think we have one last question from Mr. Musa. Please go ahead before we jump into the next section.
Yes, thank you. Maybe my question is ahead of its time, but actually I joined this this lecture just to know how to insert both IEEE and APA citations on the same document.
Thank you for your question.
So
this is exactly what we will do in the next section. Yeah, we will just now open the Word and we'll see how we'll import the in-text citation and also how to update the library. We'll discuss that in a few minutes. Thank you, Mr. Musa. So I'll just open my Microsoft Word now. So this is my Microsoft Word, and this is where we will try to cross over with our previous workshop on the Microsoft Word and the thesis and so on. So once you download Zotero, you should find this tab here up in the I think everyone can see the Microsoft Word, right? So once you open the Microsoft Word after downloading Zotero, it should automatically link up or sync up with the Microsoft Word. If it doesn't, you will go to the settings that I just showed you earlier, and you will install this plugin or this tag. So let me just decrease the font a little bit. Okay, so let's say that we have a paragraph and I want to cite it from my library that I just created. Okay, I wrote the paragraph and I want to cite it. So I'll go to Zotero, which this tab, and I'll click Add Citation. And then I'll just share the other screen. I'm really sorry, but it keeps opening a lot of windows. So once I click Add Citation, this is the window I should get. Okay, please, if you don't see anything or you not follow up, just stop me. So this is the window that you should get. And if you remember, this is the citation style that we were able to add or remove or manipulate in our favor in the main Zotero window. So now it will come again. And let's start with the APA, and then we'll go to the IEEE so we can cover the one or more different styles. Okay, so you can just choose your style, and at CGS for thesis and dissertation, we recommend the latest one, which is the 7th edition. Please don't use the 6th edition. And then we will click on make sure that automatically update citation is there, and you will click OK. Once you click OK, of course, you will have another window open. So let me just share it, which is basically this window. I think you can all see it. Small search tab with a red Z on the left. You can have the classic view or the sources out. If you, let's say, use the search tab and you probably know the name of your citations, once you click or type the name of the author or a part of the article title or even the journal, you will have all the references from your library. So you can, let's say, click on that. Okay, I hope everyone can see and follow up. So once I click one reference and click enter, I automatically can see it in my screen here. To make sure it's automatically entered, just click on the reference and you will see it is grayed out. So this is how we can add one reference. Let's say that I want to add an extra one. So let's say that after some time, I want to cite another paper for the same paragraph. So I'll just click on this and I'll go to add or edit citation, and it should show me this screen again. See, the one that I just added, the S reference 2008. So let's say I want to add another reference. I'll just click on any other paper from my library, of course, and I'll click enter. Automatically, I'm really sorry about the screen closing, but this is how the Zotero and the Zoom works together. I hope I'm fast enough to make you follow up and not just break your ideas. So again, I clicked enter and I got the two references, and this is how it keep going. If you want to add another one, I'll click on it and I'll click add citation. It will open for me the red search bar, and I'll keep adding as I like. And as you can see, it automatically got the perfect format for it. The last name of the author, the et al, the dot, the comma with no spaces, the year, and then the colon, and then the other paper, and so on. The main problem when you're not using an automatic software is if you try to manually do these things, you will have extra spaces, no spaces, you will mess up the year when you have the bibliography, and it will be a whole messed up document. So please try to use this. As you can see, it's very easy to use, very easy to apply. So let's say I apply this to my whole...
I have a question here. Usually when you do in-text citation for the first time, it doesn't put al. It should put all the author name, but the second time you cite it, it should be al. So how we can correct this with Zotero? Because usually the first time I cite the author, I need to put the whole author name. Then at the second time, it should be al. So how can we overcome this?
Thank you for this note. It's very important. So according to the latest update for the APA style, that's okay. You can start with et al from the first time, and that will be accepted for our review in the thesis and dissertation. That's totally fine. So if this is the first time you, let's say, mention the Boyer reference, either you can mention the whole or you can mention et al, but according to the latest update, it will automatically read et al. So that's totally fine. Don't worry about it.
Thank you.
I will just, yeah. So what I wanted to say here is, let's say I applied this to several paragraphs and I finished my document and I want to add the bibliography. So I'll just assume that I'm going to another reference page here, which we'll call references or bibliography. and I will just click add bibliography. You can see it up top here. It will automatically read my 2 references or 3 references or whatever. Of course, I'm sorry about the formatting. This is where our previous workshop crosses over. You can select and easily manipulate using the layout, maybe the space before and after, or maybe the line spaces, so you can make it single. Of course, you can decrease the font size. This is just for elaboration, like that, for example. And as you can see, it automatically arranged them in alphabetical order. So that's what we look for usually in the APA style. It has all the author names written out with all the commas and the dots, what we want. The journal name is written in italic, which is perfect. The volume is also italicized, so this is again important. The DOI is added, and so on. And as you can see, these are 2 journals, and they are very consistent in terms of the format. So you don't see something different or like differently formatted from both journals. So let's say I want to add a 3rd paper here, and we will see if this will automatically update or we need to update it and so on. So I think you remember, we'll just go to Zotero and add citation. I'll not keep changing my screen just for the convenience sake. I'll just add another paper. Let's say this one, and I'll click enter. So as you can see, I added an extra paper to my paragraph. If I go down, I'll see that again, the list automatically updated and the format came back to normal. So what we recommend is to change the format at the end after you make sure that you finished all your references, added all your in-text citation and so on. You can select all and just easily manipulate the references at the end. But this is how it will look like. So to answer Mr. Musa's question, sorry if I got the name wrong. So what if I want to, let's say I wrote my whole paper in APA and I'm submitting it to another journal, or I want to change according to my supervisor's maybe advice or something, I want to change to another style. So that's very easy to do. Okay. You'll just go to the document preference here up top. Okay. I will have to stop sharing and share again the screen of the other window. This is the most difficult part in this workshop, I hope. So now you get the screen again, and we already had it on the APA style 7th edition. So let's say I want to change it to IEEE. I'll click on IEEE and I'll just click OK. Of course, it updated now, but close the screen. And as you can see, this is my word after I clicked. It automatically took the 3 references and wrote them as 1 to 3, because that's how the IEEE is written. And you can clearly see that now the references are not arranged alphabetically, they are arranged numerically. You can see that the author first name initial is written first, not the last name. The et al now is italicized, which is totally different than the APA style. The volume is written as VOL. The issue number is written as number. The page range is PP, not just numericals. So you can clearly see that with one click, I just changed the preference and it changed from IEEE from APA style to IEEE. And I hope also our friend asked about what if she imports the Mendeley library. If you import it correctly in Zotero, it should automatically update in your document. I hope so. So please try it out. I hope you figured out the exporting now. If not, we will definitely try to help you at our offices. Don't worry about it. And this is how you can change the style very easily. So
Excuse me?
Any questions until now?
Excuse me. Actually, the university asks us to use both ABA and IEEE in one document, in the same document that you are using now, for example. So if you want to cite at the middle of the paragraph, you will use APA. And if you want to cite at the end of the paragraph, you will use IEEE, and this is impossible to use using these softwares.
Exactly, but are you sure about this point? Because like according to someone from CGS, I'm 100% sure that we will not ask you to use 2 different styles. But if someone did, I'm not sure about this, but this is very odd because you have to be consistent in the way you cite your references.
Because all the engineering theses are using they don't use numbers to cite in the middle of the paragraph, for example, or at the beginning.
Okay, I think I got your point. So in IEEE, this is how to cite the in-text citation. But let's say you want, let me just elaborate. I got your question. So this is another paragraph. Let's say that this is another paragraph, and it's for another author with the name Musa. Okay. So they will write like this, just like, sorry about that. Okay. So you write the author name and then add the reference number as IEEE. This is acceptable in IEEE. So you didn't actually change the style, but in APA you have to write the author name with no numbers. But in IEEE you can write the number, and also it's acceptable to write the author name with the number. That's acceptable. So when you see it in engineering, I know what you are saying. I have seen it a lot of times. It's not two different styles. It's basically the same style, but written in two different ways because it has its flexibility. So that's totally fine. But it's only IEEE. So I'm continuing on the point. I'm sorry to interrupt. So I will add Musa, okay, and I'll add reference number 4, and this is how it will look like. If you saw this, this is not APA, this is IEEE. And then you will have your normal paragraph. You can have it in the middle, you can have it at the end. This is acceptable at CGS. But this, both paragraphs here up and down, are IEEE, not APA. APA is where you have totally another, as we saw earlier, totally different way of writing the author name with the et al. Or with the year. The key word here is the year. You don't see any year here. And if it is written in APA, it will look something like this. Sorry, it will be something like this, or it will be something like this. Or even like this. So these are all the different ways of writing. Of course, I'm sorry about the spelling. So this is your old paper, and of course this is with other authors. If it's coming in the beginning of the paragraph or at the end of the paragraph, this is how it writes. So this is IEEE, this is APA, and this is IEEE. So I think we have covered how to change the styles. Let me just go back if I want to. Yes. So I'll go back to Zotero and show you some interesting things that you might need to use at some point. I'm sorry. Okay. Mr. Musa, did I answer your question? I hope I did.
Yes, you did. Thank you. But at the end, what we should use for our thesis?
It depends on your field and your supervisor, but from my little experience, usually engineering will use IEEE, but just ask your supervisor. And let's say you used APA and he asked you to change at the end, you now know how to use it. It's just one click and it will totally change the whole document. So don't worry about it. You can, it's better.
Is it easier to use IEEE and then add the names without the date manually, or just to add APA and then if he asks
if you want to have the names, like, to be honest, the IEEE, you will not see the names in the whole document. You will see the names randomly. It depends on if the paper, let's say the author of the thesis wants to point out or highlight a paper, so he will write the author name. So you will not find it in each and every paragraph. You might find it in 10 positions out of like 20, out of 100 or something. But in the APA, you have to write the author name everywhere. So it depends on your preference. But I think if you are an engineering student, probably your supervisor will ask you to use IEEE, because probably the supervisor wants you to get used to the journals that you're going to submit to. So of course the journals will have their own guidelines and the citation styles. So you might want to be following their styles.
Okay, thank you for the explanation.
Thank you so much. Any other questions until now? Please don't hesitate to ask.
Yeah, hello, doctor.
Yes, Mr. Hanifa, please go ahead.
Okay, so the thing is, if you have a paper, and in that paper you don't have you are not able to download it from the site Zotero, or probably you have the paper on your computer and you want to cite it in your documents, as in your paper. So how do you go about using Zotero to make it do the work for you?
Thank you. So I have mentioned this in the beginning, but maybe I did not elaborate on it. So I mentioned that there are many ways to add your papers. I'll just repeat it quickly. So the first one is manually added. So let's say that you want to add manually, just in case the software doesn't want to read it at all. You can just go to this green arrow here or sign here and add whatever type of reference you want, and it will allow you to add all the details. This is not the most recommended way because you want to make your life easier at the end. The second way is to use this DOI. So if your paper doesn't want to be retracted using the magnet, as we saw earlier in some examples, you can just copy paste the DOI. The easiest way, I would say, that if you have the paper on your computer as you asked, I'm not sure if you can see both screens, but right now I have two screens opened. One is Zotero, and on the other side is my downloads. So I'm not sure if you can see it dragged, but I'm just dragging it, and it came automatically to my Zotero, if you can see the PDF. So yeah, you can just drag it around if you want, and it will actually take some time, and then it will read the whole thing here. That's the author names, the volume, the issue, and so on. And by the way, again, if you have some wrong information, it rarely happens, but if you have wrong information, again, you can always manipulate it from this. Let's say it's a very, very, very old paper. So here in, yeah, thank you so much. So here in the tools, let me just, yeah. So here in the tools, I just wanted to mention something. This is maybe if you want to have it for your own sake, to just get a better idea of your own references and library, you can here create a timeline. And this timeline will show you basically all your library arranged on the year and the month that the paper was published in. And you can actually like type the name of the paper here, and you can highlight it in blue or red. And at the end, you can print it. So for example, I wrote improving their performance. I just wrote IM and it automatically got improved. And I can color it in blue. And I'm not sure if you can see the window. I hope you do. And then at the end, you can save it as an image if you want to make a chart or out of it or something. And if you want to print this for your own sake, maybe you just want to mind map or have a summary of all the years or the chronological order of the publications of your library. So I think I just wanted to remind you that please write your name and your ID and your college, so we can take the attendance, because in CGS, if you attend too many workshops, we can give you some certificates. I think we have some questions in the chat box, so let's read them. Could you please repeat this, how to add citation in the Word? Okay, this is an old question. I'm not sure if it is still up there. How to add citation in the Word. I'll show it again now, don't worry. Hello, thanks for the clear explanation. Thank you, Ms. Sana. I have issue with add-on on Chrome. It's used to work out, but not anymore. Maybe you have explained earlier. That's okay. So I have explained earlier that the magnet is you don't have to, like, I mean, it doesn't work every time because it depends on the paper. If the paper is not open access, it will not read it. And sometimes it takes some time. So let me just try to share another paper and use the magnet on different papers just to elaborate, and also go back to the Word quickly and add one or two references just again to elaborate. So I'm here in Google Scholar. I'll just write, let's say,
Mr. Abdurrahman.
Yes.
Sorry for interruption, but I'm trying to apply this in Word. It gives me that Word couldn't communicate with Zotero. Please ensure Zotero is running and try again. What could
just
be
make sure that Zotero is open. Like, I think you don't have your Zotero open, just click open it, just keep it open and then try to add again. It will add, inshallah.
Okay, thank you.
No problem. So these papers are a bit old. I'm not sure it will be able to read it. So this is a paper, and let's say if I click here on the Zotero connector, it will take some time. It's taking it as a snapshot now. So we'll wait for it. If it reads the PDF, that's great. If it doesn't, then we will try to download the PDF from here, because it's basically, if we go back here, you can see that the PDF is accessible in our university. So you can clearly see that the PDF is accessible. Now, if I download it, it will read as a PDF. Zotero connector, it's able to read it now as a PDF. So I hope I answered your question, Ms. Sana. But if you keep trying different papers, some paper will directly work from the website. It depends on the paper, if it is recent, if it is not. Let me try Nature paper, for example. That should work. This is a good, it's an open access paper. Okay, what is happening? It doesn't want to track any paper for some reason. Let's go to the full view. Okay, I think I'm going now to the Zotero and it's fine, working fine. My library. Okay. You can actually change your folders. If you remember here, we have done publication 1, publication 2. And if you want, I just showed you the other way for Mr. Muhammad when he asked about dragging the paper. So you can download it and just drag it on your software. So I'll just go back to show you that Zotero actually took the paper in publication 1. As you can see, it is taking the paper with all the information. So just to follow up, let's just remember the name of the paper or the author. This is Borgo. So we'll just go to the Word to answer the other question, which asked about importing in the Word and how to add it. So I'm back to the Word. And let's say that I don't want the IEEE. I'll just click on the reference first, and I'll change the preferences to APA style. 7th edition. And document preference, not now, okay. I'll change the APA style to 7th edition. It should automatically update in a second. And then let's say I want to add my reference in a new paragraph, for example. I think this is the question of Miss Yasmin, so I hope you are following with us. So I'll click on Add Citation. And once you click on Add Citation, it will take you to this small bar here. You have two options. You click on the Z, you can see the class here, or your library, the introduction, the publications, all the folders, the subfolders that we created, and you can click on the paper itself. Or if you want to just click a search by the name, if you remember the author name, Borgo, for example, you can just search with the name. So once you click on that, it should be added in the Word as Borgo et al. 2021, the Nature paper that we just downloaded, and automatically you will see that Borgo has been added here. If you note here that the references that I wrote manually for Mr. Musa to elaborate are not added because I wrote them manually. And this is the idea here, is whatever you write, import using the software will just come in your bibliography, and whatever doesn't, of course, will not show up. So if you write half of your references using this automatic citation tool and half of them are manually written, and then you submit your thesis, you'll have a lot of missing references. So please take care of this point. Some students will want to change something. You want to change the author name, you want to change the year for some reason, please change it in the Zotero itself, not in the Word or anywhere else. So Just reminding you to also, I'll send you a link for the feedback of the workshop. The feedback is very important for us so we can improve. I'm sending it in the chat now, and I'll wait for some time for any questions. We will not take until 7. The workshop is almost done, so we have discussed all the important points that we want to. So I'm very happy to take your questions. Yes, the dragging is the easiest one. If you download the PDF and drag it, this is the most easiest one. And if you want to just have the PDF open online and then download it, that's also fine. The DOI is another easy way. Like you just open the article, drag the DOI, and it will read it for you. So again, this is a great way. Yes, Miss Magari, please go ahead.
Mr. Abdulrahman, just quickly, could you please show us how we add the citation and shift it to Chicago?
Yes, sure. Yeah, definitely.
Thank you. Oh, you can work on the same one, like Borgo, the one you were you added just right.
Okay. Just getting the feedback. So I sent you the feedback on the chat. I'll open it now on the Chicago style. So this is the feedback form. Please do fill it at the end of the workshop. So let me just go back to the Word. Okay. So I'll just go to document preference. I'll stop sharing to show you the window that appeared to me. So we have a lot of Chicago styles. I never used Chicago, to be honest, but let's choose one of them. I'm not sure if you have a specific preference. Let's say we'll take the manual style. Okay, well, anyone, it doesn't really matter. Okay. Yeah, I think it updated. So you might not see a major difference in the in-text. However, there is the comma that is not there in the Chicago, but there in the APA style, because usually there will be a comma like this in the APA style. But the major difference you will see is the bibliography. So you will see that the way that the citation is arranged is a little bit different. You have here the colon, but of course, mainly overall very similar to the APA style, arranged alphabetically. There is some kind of an indentation to the reference. The journal article title is italic. However, the volume is not. So there are few differences, but yes, this is how you can easily change it. So maybe when you change it, you didn't see any difference, but I'm not sure if that was your question, but yeah. The differences are there, but it's very minimal, because again the styles will look very similar at some areas at some points.
Thank you.
Thank you. You will see also that the and is written here as AND, but in other styles it will be written as this symbol. So anyways, let me just talk about few things in the references for CGS, because this is what we usually look at in the review of the dissertation and thesis. It might help you. So in general, for journal articles, for books, for conferences, for whatever type of reference you use, just try to make sure that you are consistent. And if you follow this workshop in terms of adding the citations automatically, I can assure you that above 95%, you will not need to add or remove anything from your references. It will just be very, very few things, because sometimes the Zotero, again, this is a software, it has its limitation. For example, it will read this word as modulators, but in caps, for example, instead of small letters. So this will look to us as a little bit inconsistent. So we might ask you to just change it, and you know how to change it. You can just go back to the software and change it. Sometimes, and this is not actually a limitation of the software, but it is basically how it reads the article or the title. Sometimes you will not have the full page range, and maybe we can ask you to add it, so you can just add a few like a dash or a hyphen and the number. That's it. Like sometimes you will not have in the E-link, for example, the year, as I showed you in the WHO, the year will not be added. So all you have to do is just go to the Zotero library and just add it manually. So it will be very, very few things, but it will be much, much, much less if you do the whole thing manually. And what we are looking for is consistency. So just please try to use the same style all over and make sure that you update it, because if you forget to update it, it might not get the latest style that you want to work with. These are my advices for your own references in the thesis and the dissertation mainly. We have another question from Ms. Latifa. Please go ahead.
Yes, thank you. So actually, my question is not pertaining this workshop. It's regarding the previous workshop about thesis, dissertation, formatting and guidelines. I hope that's fine.
Yeah, that's sure. Please, sure. Please go ahead.
Yes. So last time you showed us the template that was on the portal. Yes. And there was in the table of contents and the template, there was a repetition in the title section. Mm-hmm. Yes, so you informed us that you will be adjusting that issue and re-uploading the template, but I believe I checked today and it's still there. And I tried to do it manually, but I couldn't really.
Okay, I might have forgotten this, so I'll just take a note right now. Let me just take a note to remove this title and we'll upload the format again, the template again. I'm really sorry about that. Thank you so much for the reminder. Thank you. Thank you. I just wanted to remind you for the feedback and for your attendance. Just please write your name and ID if you didn't. I'd like to thank you so much for your time and attending. I hope you benefited from the workshop. This workshop and the thesis, they are kind of a continuation to each other. And please, in the feedback, give us your advices and recommendations on future workshops that you might want to attend. And whatever you like, just please feel free to share with us. I'll just write my ID number here in the box, just in case you have any extra questions or anything that I can troubleshoot with you later after the workshop at some point. I wish you all the best in your studies, master's, PhD, and in your future, inshallah. Just give you a few minutes to type or ask if anything, and then we will stop it here. I'll stop the recording here. Since we brought it up, the recording will be uploaded very soon on our YouTube channel, so you can easily go back to the workshop and refer to anything you want if you feel that you need to refocus or re-stress on any other point. I think we got one question. If we want to send the article once we are done with the referencing, do we need to delink it before uploading the article? You can. This is actually maybe a good question that I might have not mentioned. You can just click on unlink citations. It will basically unlink your citations and it will change them to text. So it will not be automatic anymore. As you can see, when I click, it's not grayed out, it's not automatic. So you can do that if you want. I think the point of unlinking is to stop it from updating anymore. And at some point, when you're sure that everything is perfect, you might need that. So yes, you can unlink it from here in the Zotero tab. So thank you so much.
Thank you for the response. I just had another query related to that. So, so we can actually first save the version that is linked, and then we can save another version that is unlinked. So in case we get a rejection and we need to change the referencing style, the one that we save without, removing the links will still be changeable, right?
Exactly. You can save it as another, like save as, and maybe you can say it unlinked, and it should be fine, as you said. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much. It was really a very informative workshop.
Thank you. Thank you for attending. Thank you so much. So I think I'll stop the recording here. The recording will be